The next item on the agenda is special orders public hearing. And before we open the floor to public comments, I would like to call on General Counsel Pierce to review the ground rules of public testimony at
Last
the
hour.
body. Ms. Pierce.
I promise you there's a little bit more fireworks in this one.
As we move to the public comment portion of these proposals, we would like to remind council members and the public of 4 ground rules. These ground rules will allow everyone to have a fair chance to speak and be heard, and it is important that we all observe them. The ground rules are as follows. Number 1, each speaker will be limited to 2 minutes. When the timer goes off, your time is up. Number 2, any public comments must reasonably relate to the subject matter of the agenda item under consideration. Number 3, speakers who stray from the subject matter or item under consideration or become unduly repetitious may be asked to move on to their next point or conclude their comments. Finally, attendees who cause disruptions that prevent the council from proceeding through today's agenda in a reasonably efficient manner will be removed. Please remember that some types of threatening speech or incitement to violence are not protected by the First Amendment at all. We will deal with those issues if they come up, but we do not think they will. And now, Mr. President, upon adoption of these rules by consent of the members, we can proceed to public comment.
You have consent? All right, very good. Now I'll move into items under special orders public hearing. And this first item is proposal number 325, refer to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 325 approves the 2024 budget of the Woodruff Place Economic Improvement District. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 12-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the room who would like to comment on proposal number 325?
Yo, guess who's back? Back again.
Larry Vaugn, please.
Larry's back.
You know, this is a dangerous trend that is being established here in our city. We're in a certain district, where a residential district like Woodruff Place, which this plan has failed miserably in that spot. It turns neighbor against neighbor, and it turns the dog-eat-dog mentality loose in your community. For any time that your neighbors feel that you can't make the price point, whatever they want their community to be, you can be taxed out, not by city officials the way it's supposed to be legally. Now, I don't know what statute authorizes this, but I'm sure it's unconstitutional because the city cannot delegate its taxing authority to residents of this city. And that's what they're doing here. You folks at home, it's coming to your community too, because this city is overburdened with bond debt. Even some of our members of this council is benefit from the sale of these municipal bonds without any specified funding mechanism for revenues to pay the dividends. So I'd just like to say you need to take under consideration what's happening here within this proposal, even to turn your neighbor against you, and it's going to create a dog-eat-dog mentality in any district where it's established.
Is there anyone else in the room who would like to comment on proposal number 325? All right, seeing none, any additional comments from councilors? Seeing none, let's proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 24-0. The next item on the agenda is proposal number 326, referred to Metropolitan Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 326 approves the 2024 budget of the Greater Virginia Avenue Corridor Economic Improvement District. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 11-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Other comments from councilors? All right, seeing none. Is there anyone in the room who would like to comment on proposal number 326?
My man.
Stay up here tonight. But in any case, same thing, you folks at home. This is what's happening. Anytime you have the power to tax is the power to destroy any community. Now, these people are delegating. They're your elected officials. They're elected to represent you. They're elected to enforce the tax codes that the state have passed. But what they're doing is they're making your neighbor the person who's going to assess taxes against you, who's going to know your price point, who's going to know how to engineer a taxing program so that you won't be able to afford it. When the rests here, the authority to do that rests right in this room. They're shirking their responsibility because they want to walk away with clean hands. In any case, this is really a bad trend, and it's taking place all over the Midwest, where cities are finding themselves more and more in bond debt, and they have loans and so forth that they can't perform the debt service on, so they stoop to this low hurdle, and they then turn neighbor against neighbor and make them assess unfair taxes, illegal, unconstitutional taxes on their neighbor. Now, I don't know what statute authorizes this. I didn't see any statute in the paperwork where you're authorizing this, but I think it does not exist. So you may think it's all right now, but there's a price point for everybody within these districts. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the room with an interest in proposal number 326? Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to throw out there that not a word he just said was true.
Bullshit.
Is there
Bye, Adamson.
any additional comments from fellow councilors? All right, seeing none, let us proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 327, referred to Metropolitan Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 327 approves an additional appropriation of $200,000 and transfer of $10,000 in the 2023 budget of the Marion County Recorder for the purpose of preserving historical city-county
Jeez,
records.
I forgot how
Proposal passed out of
expensive that
committee
is.
by a vote of 12-0. Mr. President, I so move.
200,000.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let us let's find out if there's anyone in the room with an interest in speaking on proposal number 327.
Everybody's looking at Larry.
All right, very good. Seeing no one, any additional
Larry was
comments from councilors?
was pro that proposal.
Let's proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 328, referred to Metropolitan Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 328 approves an additional appropriation of $4,115,000 in the 2023 budget of the Department of Metropolitan Development and City non-departmental funds for the purpose of providing local contributions to the Housing to Recovery Program, land acquisition, and affordable additional debt service capacity for the HUD Section 108 loan program. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 12-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? All right, seeing none. Is anyone else in the room with an interest in proposal number 328?
Hell yeah, let's go.
Anytime I heard the people talking about revenue bonds, Mr. President, I think about that the city is supposed to have a specified purpose for these funds when they receive them from the bond bank or whoever issues these bonds. I don't know who's issuing the bonds, but I did call the FBI on one person who I found out was trying to issue these municipal bonds, and I'm sure they're taking it under advisement. But
Sure
in
they
any
are.
case, these bonds are being put into a community fund, the general fund. Now, I know that it may be done by statute, but when I look at the actual draft
Slipping.
of the ordinance, it does not specify where these funds come from, but they are in the general fund. So I think that's first step toward misappropriating funds, and it's illegal in some kind of way, or at least unconstitutional.
Oh,
I know
jeez.
that's a high bar to hurdle over, but I think that bond money, revenue bond money, needs to be spent on actually what the bonds are actually for, Mr. President, and far out into the future, even when this city is paying 15% for these bonds. 15%.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the room with an interest in proposal number 328? Seeing none, any additional comments from councilors? Councilor Ethan Evans.
Thank you, Mr. President. I did want to point out that it does say on the proposal that the funds are going to the Housing to Recovery Fund and forwarding additional debt service capacity for the HUD section loan program and land acquisition. So that the purpose is laid out in the ordinance right there.
Very good. Thank you very much, Councilor Evans. Any additional?
Yeah, but those funds could be taken out.
Anyone
We
else?
saw
with an
that during the
interest in,
MEC board.
Proposal number 328? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries. Motion carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 334, referred to Administration and Finance Committee. Chairman Mascari.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 334 approves the transfer of an existing appropriation of various city-county funds used for various city-county departments and agencies, the appropriation of $4.8,200,000 and awards previous appropriations. Passed out of committee 7-0. I so move.
Second.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Ethan Evans.
Thank you. I apologize. I wasn't at the committee hearing. Is there a specific grant? What specific grant awards were said for this specific fund right here?
Is anyone from the administration that can come forward to speak on this?
Thank you.
Good evening, Abby Hansen, Deputy Controller. It's really a mix of a lot of different grant appropriation. We are moving some appropriation between grants, like we're approved to purchase one thing and turns out we need to do something different, so we're transferring between characters. And it is a mix of county, state, and federal grant funds. So it's not a very good answer, but there's a lot of stuff inside. A lot of different grants, I guess I should say.
So I'm sorry, is it just going between departments for a specific purpose, or is it like a budgetary reason for the transfer?
So for the grant appropriations, it's because we received, so it could be for two different reasons. Either we received additional grant awards that we didn't have sufficient budget for, it was a surprise we got it was unexpected, something along those lines, or the appropriation by character might not have been correct the first time, either because our plans changed or just because costs went up. It could be for a lot of different reasons.
Trust us. It's okay. That's what she's saying.
Possibilities.
Oh, and all this happened after we approved the budget?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Shocker.
Any additional questions from councilors? All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the room with an interest in proposal number 334?
Everybody look at this, how vague it is. Now, you can't tell where these funds are going to.
It's true.
You don't know where they're coming from, but they exist here tonight. That's because all this money is going into the general fund. Now, how long can a city operate without having commissioners over these agencies to handle their money, to make sure the appropriated funds are spent properly? If it does not happen, cities can't last. Look at Detroit. Look at every city that's controlled by Democrats. Same principles happening all over the Midwest. These cities are going debunked. They're deep in bond debt. They're having to liquidate, and they do liquidate, just like the city of Indianapolis, who have now tried to syndicate against existing hotels by building 2 new hotels to be operated by the city, to actually syndicate, and it's illegal for a city or any governmental facility to actually syndicate against the private sector. That's what this council has stepped to right now, and I think that these vague ordinances that are being passed in here tonight, it endangers the stability of this city. It really does.
Larry Vaugn, my man.
Is there anyone else in the audience with an interest in proposal number 334?
He's not wrong, though.
Right, seeing none. Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President, for indulging me. I would recommend it if there are some questions that members of the public have about some of these proposals, they should consider maybe watching the committee hearings where
We did.
the very deliberative process and transparent process takes place, and then
Very
perhaps for these
transparent. Yeah,
other public
sure it
meetings,
is.
we would get a shred of fact in those comments related to these proposals.
Can't get the paperwork. We would have to send a FOIA request and they get the
Additional
paperwork.
comments from
Nothing's
councilors?
posted on there. We don't get one. If we were to
All right,
go
seeing
there,
none,
do
let's
I get a
proceed to
piece
the
of
board for
paper
votes.
with everything on there? Spoiler alert, I don't. The only thing that I get is something with the agenda. I don't know what those characters are. Oh, we're moving it to table 1 to table 2, character 3 to character 4. What are those characters? What is it? Paper clips? Salary? What are we doing here? Evans can't get the fuck out of here, or Adamson can't get out of here
Motion carries
fast
24 to
enough.
0. The next item on the agenda is proposal number 335, referred to Administration and Finance Committee Chairman Mascari.
Mascari.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 335 approves an additional $110,000 to the 2023 budget of the Marion County Treasurer's County Fund. Purpose and additional personnel and contractual expenses. Passed out of committee 7-0. I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, is there anyone else in the room who would like to comment on proposal number 335? Seeing none, councilors, let us proceed to the board for a vote. All right, motion carries 24 to 0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 336, referred to Administration and Finance Committee. Chairman Mascari.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 336 approves an additional appropriation of $225,000 and transfers $541,544 in the 2023 budget, Marion County Information Services Agency, in the purpose of costs related to IT services and equipment. Passed out of committee 7-0. I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the room with an interest in proposal number 336? Seeing no one, comments from councilors? All right, very good. Let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 24 to 0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 346, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Councilor Carlino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 346 approves an additional appropriation of $10,610,000 and a reduction in appropriation of $2.2 million in the 2023 budget of the Marion County Sheriff, County General, federal grants, and medical care for inmates funds for the purposes of funding overtime expenses, contractual obligations for food services, and operations of the jail and additional grant awards. The proposal was moved by Councilor Carlino, seconded by Councilor Mascari, and the proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 11 to 0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors?
$20 for a ham sandwich.
Seeing none, is there anyone in the room with an interest in proposal number 346?
Let's go, Larry. My man.
You know, the sheriff department used to not have to do that because the sheriff is the top law enforcement officer in the city, at least was in this county. But with the event of the merger between IMPD and the sheriff's department, they lost jurisdiction over their budget, and they come here today for a reduction in their $10 million budget, so they only receive $8 million. This jeopardizes the safety of our community. It has jeopardized the safety of our community in the past and continues to do so. So when we talk about all the things that have been happening with the sheriff department, the unfair pay scales, when we talk about the inmates being released inappropriately, we find it right here in this room where their appropriations are not sufficient to run a safe sheriff department that can actually do their job. So this money has been deducted, over $2 million from the budget of that they're going to had appropriated of $10 million, folks at home, they're deducting over $2 million from that appropriation, and they're probably going to put it back in the general fund and jeopardize the safety of your homes and your families, and actually keeping criminals off the street, confined where they belong. It's happened in the past. It's even happening now.
I don't know. He's right.
Is there any additional comments from the public on proposal number 346?
Oh, it's adding but subtracting.
Yes. Leader Mowry.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the questions I had asked in committee about this proposal, I believe it was about the number of gotaways that got released by accident, and I don't know that we received that number. Did we, Mr. Chair? Did you receive something?
Thank you, Leader Mallory. I have not, but I'm sure someone from the Sheriff's Department is here to speak to it. But good question, though.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes. Is there anyone here from the Sheriff's Department to address this question?
2 weeks.
Good evening. I know Colonel Martin is compiling that information, and we'll get that to you shortly.
Shortly. It's been 2
Is
weeks
there a
already.
reason why we haven't received it yet?
I am not sure. I know they're making sure the data is correct for you, so they'll get that to you as soon as possible.
It shouldn't be that hard.
I appreciate that. I believe there's been plenty of time for you to compile that information, and the fact that we still don't have it is very disappointing. So please make sure we get that information, if possible, in the next week or so.
We will, yes.
They don't care.
Very good. Any additional comments from councilors?
Mr. President,
Yes. Chairman Gray.
I just have a question. Am I reading this correctly, that we're reducing medical care for inmates for the purpose of funding overtime expenses?
Let us get someone here from the Sheriff's Office to elaborate.
So we're actually reducing the appropriation in the inmate medical fund. In our current contract with our medical vendor, we have instituted certain staffing credits. So when they don't fill their staffing matrix to a sufficient level, they credit the invoice for that. So we are not reducing that. In fact, it's funds that we don't have to pay out.
Huh? What?
But you didn't spend, so now you're taking and shifting it over to overtime pay?
We are reducing the appropriation in the inmate medical fund and then receiving an additional appropriation from County General.
Very good. Additional comments or questions from councilors?
What?
Councilor Ethan Evans.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have another question for the Sheriff's Office, and I apologize for not asking this earlier when I had you in the conversation, but follow up on Chairman Gray's comment. For the funding overtime and the contractual obligations for food services, how much of the additional appropriation will be split between each, if you have that information available?
I do. So 1.1 million will go, excuse me, to food service. We signed a new food service contract as a result of an RFP. Food service was going to go up anyway, but when we did the RFP, the new vendor has a much higher quality food product. They pay a much higher wage to their staff, so they're sufficiently staffed. So 1.1 million of that will go towards food service.
Check the campaign reports.
67,000 will go to the first payment on a transport van cameras. 200,000 will go towards the KPMG assessment. And then there are various other contractual obligations that have gone up this year. Our prisoner transport contract, we have had to utilize that more often. We have also seen a higher, in the new facility, we've had to bring in more copiers and printers. It's a much larger facility, so part of that will also go towards RICO.
And so the remainder, you said 1.1 million, then 100-some thousand to the bring in the transport van and the food service. So I'm guessing the remainder of the 10.6 million is going to overtime. Is that correct?
No. So 5.7 million will go to Character 1, and 4.8 of that will go towards overtime. The additional will go towards retention bonuses. We worked out in coordination with OFM, and then 3.2 will repay the city settlement fund for a settlement payment. 3.2 million in character 3.
What was the settlement payment again? I'm sorry.
It's 3.2 million.
No, I mean, what was the settlement payment for repaying it?
Oh, it was for the Shinneman settlement.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Chairman Gray.
Were these funds in your budget for 23?
Which fund, sir? I'm sorry.
This 10 million, the 2 million, and 10 million, all these money that you're transferring. So they was part of your 23 budget, and now these are leftover monies that you're transferring to other.
So 2.2 million is left over, and then the 10.6 is an additional appropriation.
So how can you say that the police are underpaid when you got money left over? That's okay.
Dude, you're out anyway. It doesn't matter.
Very good. Additional comments or questions from councilors?
Because that the money didn't go towards a raise. It's going
Yes,
towards
Chairman Oliver.
towards
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
overtime because there's not enough
Chairman
people.
and fellow councilors, I'm on that Public Safety Committee, chaired by Chairman Robinson. Thank you, Chairman Robinson. And there were questions asked that I asked about the overtime expenses and what caused the overtime expenses, shortage of staffing, unable to pay a competitive salary versus the surrounding counties and other parts of the state, which resulted into shortages of staffing, which caused the increase in overtime expenses, and of course, medical care. They call them inmates, medical care in detention, and many have not even been to trial yet. They're innocent unless they're proven otherwise.
Yeah.
So that's why I voted in support of that proposal that was before the Public Safety Committee, I think last week. So thank you. I just want to let you know that I was there to ask those kind of questions, and other on the committee were able to do that also. So I just want the record to show in advance that I support this proposal. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much, Chairman. Additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let us proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 23 yeas and 1 nay. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 347, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Councilor Carlino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 347 approves an additional appropriation of $1,080,000 and transfers totaling $87,975 in the 2023 budget of the Marion County Prosecutor, County General, and Deferral Program fee funds for the purpose of financing personnel costs and professional services. Councilor Mascari moved, seconded by Councilor Carlino, to move the proposal to the full council with a due pass recommendation with a vote of 11-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none. Is there anyone in the room who would like to comment on proposal number 347?
I just want to talk about the language used in this proposal where they're transferring so much money. They transfer it because they are trying to catch up on a situation where we have the Housing and Urban Development Department a $32 billion loan that is in default right now with this city. I checked it out this morning on the internet, and all these transfers mount up to enough to catch this loan up. So that's what it's being transferred over for. And the fact that the prosecutor's office has actually not received any of this money and will not receive it because it's going into the general fund. That's where it's going. I mean, you can only go so far when you have a city like Indianapolis that's trying to grow, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to be able to grow as long as they come in this room and appropriate money put it back in the general fund, and don't have a commissioner on these agencies to actually receive the money that's appropriated. Now, it's going on all over the Midwest in Democratic-controlled cities. The city's being debunked by these policies. They're play right here tonight in this room where you see so many transfers going over and over again.
Is there anyone else in the room who would like to comment on proposal number 347? All right, seeing none, Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it's important to point out that, again, none of that was factual. There are people at home who are watching this to be informed, engaged citizens, and we want them to be. And to listen to that, they will be less informed than had they not watched at all. And I think it's important to debunk false information when it comes out so that people are able to make informed decisions. Thank you.
All right, very good. Any additional comments? All right, seeing none, let us proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 24-0. Next item on our agenda is proposal number 348, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Councilor Carlino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 348 approves a transfer of $358,350 and an additional appropriation of $220,000 in the 2023 budget of the Marion County Public Defender Agency, County General Supplemental Public Defender, state grants, and federal grant funds for the purpose of funding constitutionally required court expenses. Councilor Graves moved, seconded by Councilor Mascari, to send proposal to the full council with a due pass recommendation. And Mr. President, the proposal passed 11-0. I so move.
Second.
Motions are probably moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Boots.
Thank you, Mr. President. Due to family relations, I ask that I be excused from this vote.
Very good. Any additional comments from councilors? Seeing none, is there anyone in the room with an interest in proposal number 348?
There's 348, ladies and gentlemen, criminal justice, another transfer scheme. And I just can't understand when we get a situation like this. We have all these different funding mechanisms. We have state grants, we have federal grant funding. Where is the money that we actually pay in taxes to fund these agencies going? That's my question.
Great question.
If not for these grants, this city would fall flat on its face. And by the way, when you say grant, those are contracts. They engineer our city in certain ways, in some cases use our city as a laboratory to achieve certain circumstances. But in any case, I think that the prosecutor's office that's going to be the recipient of this money, the public defenders specifically, that when you mention constitutionally required court expenses, our courts, ladies and gentlemen, in Marion County have nothing to do with the Constitution. They are de facto courts. We have de facto judges, and they're strictly statutory courts, and they're governed not by constitutional law, but by contracts. That's what they're governed on.
Larry Vaugn.
Is there anyone else in the room with an interest in proposal number 348? All right, seeing none, any additional comments from councilors? Let us proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 23 yeas and 1 abstention. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 349, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Councilor Carlino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 349 approves an additional appropriation of $336,700 and a transfer of $258,331 in the 2023 budget of the Indianapolis Fire Department, Fire General Fund, for the purposes of funding contractual firefighter health and wellness services and utility payments. Councilor Mascari moved, seconded by Councilor Carlino, to send the proposal to the council with a due pass recommendation. The proposal passed, sir, 11-0, and I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none. I'm sorry. Seeing none. Is there anyone else in the room who'd like to comment on proposal number 349?
Yeah.
And I just want to question the additional funding. If we had a commissioner, this would not be necessary. And in fact, the fact that we need additional funding, it means that the council have not done their homework and not anticipated the actual budgets of these agencies. This is the trouble we're running into, folks at home. They're not doing their homework, and you've elected people who
Point of order,
I just
Mr.
think they're
President.
running the city
Point
into the
of order.
ground.
Larry Vaugn is so awesome.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Is there anyone else in the room with
He
an interest in
is
proposal number
amazing.
349? All right, seeing none, any additional comments from councilors? Let's proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 355, referred to Public Works Committee. Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 355 approves the additional appropriation of $4,711,000 and transfers totaling $2,170,000 in the 2023 budget of the Department of Public Works, Consolidated County General, Transportation General, and Solid Waste Collection General Funds for the purpose of affording increased contractual and fuel costs, equipment acquisitions, funding a local contribution to the Gateway Stewardship Endowment, costs relating to the school zone flashing beacon program, and for capital expenditures towards Southeastern Avenue Trail project. Councilor McCormick moves, seconded by Councilor Oliver, to send proposal number 355 to the full council with a due pass recommendation, and that motion carried by a vote of 8-0, and I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the room with an interest in proposal number 355?
When we consider, ladies and gentlemen at home, the importance of being able to navigate this city and being able to travel around, we don't want to really think that our city is being controlled by certain grant money or certain agendas, green agenda perhaps, that is trying to restrict our travel. I know I pay excise tax on my truck every time I register to have transportation and be able to navigate our city streets very easily, but that's not the case. When you see all these programs going on, like on 21st Street, on Meridian, and other thoroughfares in this town, the choke points are increasing, and as if they don't want you to be able to travel in your city. But I found out that the reason that they're doing this, it lies right here in this ordinance, is because they're using government grants. And like I said, grants are contracts, and plus they're taxes. So what they're doing is, you see the lane restrictions all over town. You see the bicycle lanes, you see the other things that are going on. All this is to make up deficits in our public works, that the money have been transferred, that have been appropriated for public works, over $30 million that was appropriated. Well, that money now sits in the general fund, and we're trying to scrimp by and be obedient to any contractual agreements that we have to restrict.
Point of order, Mr. President.
Let's go, Larry.
Point of order.
Cutting our streets down from 2 lanes to 1 lane.
Mr. Vaughn?
Thank you.
Mr. Vaughn?
I'm gone.
Very good. Is there anyone else in the room with an interest in proposal?
Larry, yeah, he's right.
All right,
And he's
none,
leaving now. I think he's been forced
any
to
comments from
leave.
councilors?
No, yeah,
Let us
he's
proceed
leaving.
to the board for a
That
vote.
sucks. That means we got like almost half an hour of boringness. He is right, though.
Motion carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 337, which was moved to public hearing during our adoption of the agenda. It's referred to Admin and Finance Committee, Chairman Mascari.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 337 authorizes revenue bonds in the amount not to exceed $37 million to finance and propose improvements and upgrades to the city-county building, including mechanical, electrical, HVAC, and other improvements related therefore, and the demolition of the old Marion County Jail, together with Pt2 and ancillary work Herefore.
He needs to
items
lay
passed out
off
of
the
committee,
booze.
7-0.
Yeah, he's like, man, I really goofed that one
Motion's
up.
been
Maybe
properly
I
moved and
won't take
seconded.
that
Are there
extra
comments from
shot
councilors?
for city county council
All right, seeing none, is there
meeting.
anyone in the room with an interest in proposal number 337? Right, seeing none, councilors, let's proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 24-0. There is no business under special orders, unfinished business. So we'll now proceed to special orders final adoption. And this next item on our agenda is proposal number 299, referred to Metropolitan Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. With consent, I would like to take Proposal 299 and 300 together. Thank you. Proposal 299 approves a declaratory resolution and redevelopment plan for the Metropolitan Development Commission establishing the Alabama Street redevelopment project area and Alabama Street allocation area and removes territory from the consolidated Harding Street redevelopment project and allocation area. Proposal 300 authorizes the issuance of a taxable economic development tax increment revenue bonds for TWG LLC and a maximum aggregated principal amount not to exceed $18 million for the purpose of financing, reimbursing, and refinancing the cost of acquisition, construction, renovation, and installation. The proposal is passed out of committee by a vote of 12-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Chairman Adamson.
Mr. President, with consent, with your consent, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor of Proposal 300.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Additional comments from councilors? Councilor Ethan Evans.
Thank you, Mr. President. If someone is here from MDC or the developer, if they would be able to tell how much is going to be affordable housing coming in?
Is there anyone from the administration who can address Councilor Evans's question?
I'm with the developer, if that'll do. My name is Chase Smith. I'm with TWG Development. 5% of the units within the multifamily component of this project will be allocated for 99 years to 30% AMI.
How many units are there?
And is there going to be any other stratas above 30%?
No, sir. The balance would be at market rate.
Okay, but those are guaranteed for 99 years?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Additional questions or comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let us proceed to the board for a vote.
You know what's funny about this? The reason why Ethan Evans was asking
Motion
about
carries
it.
24-0.
There are
going to be. Next item on our agenda is proposal number 314, referred to Metropolitan Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 314 designates Ontario Street between St. Clair Street
Yeah, no one
to
cares.
the north and East Walnut
This is
Street
about
to the
parking.
south as Tom Jones Memorial Way. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 12.
So just to let you know, the reason why Ethan Evans was asking about that, there are going to be 190 new multi-family residential units, and they said only 5% of that is going to be for low-income housing or affordable housing, as they would say. That means only 9 out of that 190 units. Usually it's like 15%. This one's a little unusual. It's because they're all very rich.
12-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Second.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 24-0. Next item on our agenda is proposal number 315, referred to Metropolitan Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 315 approves, ratifies, and confirms a declaratory resolution, economic development plan, and an establishment of an allocation area by the Metropolitan Development Commission designated as the additional professional sports development area. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 12-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let us proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 23 yeas, 1 nay. Next item on our agenda is proposal number 329, referred to Metropolitan Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 329 amends Special Ordinance number 15, 2018, a bond ordinance which approved the issuance of an economic development tax increment revenue bond for the 2020 building projects to permit the sale of bonds to a purchaser secured by the project, TIF revenues, and a taxpayer agreement, and also increases the permissible interest rate and bond discount due to the market changes since the bond ordinance was adopted. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 11-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for a vote.
They're always going to approve this stuff. There's like very few things that people will vote no on. Oh, like here we go. There we go.
23 yeas, 1 nay.
There it is.
On our agenda is proposal
Speak
number
of the
number 330, referred to Metropolitan Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 330 approves the issuance of a special tax and district bonds for the redevelopment district payable for taxes on real property located near Eastside HOTIF area and other revenues by the Metropolitan Development Commission. Pledged in such purpose an aggravated principal amount not to exceed $19 million for the purpose in an aggregated amount not to exceed $19 million for the purpose of procuring funds to be applied to the cost of the redevelopment and economic development serving the benefiting the allocation area. Ooh, that's a mouthful. Including but not limited to acquisition, construction, renovation, and equipping certain road, sidewalk, lighting, streetscape improvements, and approves the matters related thereto. The proposal passed out of committee by 11-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let us proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 24-0. Next item on our agenda is proposal number 331, referred to Metropolitan Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 331 approves the issuance of bonds of the redevelopment district in an aggregated principal amount not to exceed $26 million in the North Midtown allocation area for the purpose of procuring funds to be applied to the cost of acquisition of the Broad Ripple Park Family Center, together with expenses associated therewith and expenses in connection with or on an account of an issuance of bonds. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 11-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Any additional or any comments from councilors?
Anybody from the
Councilor
public?
Keith Potts.
Oh, here we go.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief with what are going to be my last public meeting comments as a counselor. At the outset of the creation of the Broad Ripple Park Family Center, a chief community concern was regarding the ownership of the building, and part of that deal was providing the city a pathway to ownership. As we would otherwise begin making lease payments this coming January, this creative use of funds designed for use for the greater public good allows the city to attain ownership of this incredible new facility and keeps parks projects on track in every corner of our city. We had a thorough and robust discussion at our November 28th committee meeting that reignited some important conversations, especially around some of the most urgent issues in our city, such as addressing the challenge of food deserts and our need for more equitable, accessible, and affordable housing. And I know that the next class of counselors will continue the important work on those priorities. I'm grateful for the city's commitment to those shared values. I'm grateful to my fellow committee members for the conversation and for their unanimous support of this proposal, and I would encourage all of my colleagues to support this proposal tonight. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Additional comments from councilors. Councilor Ethan Evans.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I'd like to echo Councilor Potts's praise on the construction of the Broad Ripple Park Family Center. I'm very happy to see it constructed, and I'm really glad that it's there. And my main question was, will this all be funded in one fell swoop, or will it be over installments for the payment for the center?
Sure, it's going to be one.
I hope the city can best address this.
One big old $26 million paycheck. Bah!
Abby Hansen, Deputy Controller. This will fund the project. We will be able to purchase it outright and then repay the bonds that we're issuing over, I think, 20 years.
Chairman Gray.
How do you anticipate on paying the bonds back?
It's going to be a mix of sources, some Midtown TIF funding, some parks revenue, and the revenue that we will receive from community health. Those are the biggest sources of funding.
That gonna be enough?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Even he knows.
Very good. Additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none.
That's
let's
so
proceed to the vote
good.
for a vote.
Just to go back to why this was such a big deal. So the TIF, the mid economic, I think Midtown Economic Corporation TIF, whatever it was, they had created a board so they could control of where that TIF money goes. So what had happened was the council, and there weren't enough safeguards on it, were like, no, you have to go through this TIF board to take any of the money. So the council just was like, went into their honeypot and like, nope, actually, we're going to take it, even though we've had 2 years to prepare of how we're going to pay for this Broad Ripple Park, and we're just going to take that TIF money, even though we did say that you guys get last say of how that money is spent. We're going to go above your head because we knew this was going to happen a couple of years ago when we approved this project. And now even Monroe Gray was like, well, how are we going to pay any of this money back? I mean, through the TIF bonds that are going to be paying for this Broad Ripple Park. And he's confused too. He's like, dude, it's a park center. It's combined with community health. But they probably have somewhere in their legalese a contract of if something happens to it, they're like, yep, see ya, it's not ours anymore. Good luck. It really just pots and
Motion carries
barter
24
are absolute
to 0.
scum.
Next item on our agenda is proposal. Next item on our agenda is proposal number 332, referred to Metropolitan Economic Development Committee. Chairman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 332 adds Chapter 121, Article 10, the Miles Square Economic Enhancement District to be revised. Proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 12 to 0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motions are properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm fairly certain I'd asked to be a co-sponsor of this proposal.
Yeah, listen, I want to be able to tax people.
Very good.
In Miles Square.
All right. Are there comments from councilors?
I'm proud of that.
All right. Seeing none, let us proceed to the board for a vote.
Look at that. They knew. Look at that. 2 no's all in the same council meeting. That's pretty amazing. Not going to lie. And you know why they're saying no? Because they don't want people to get taxed more in there. And Democrats are saying, like, no, we want to get taxed more. Listen, Democrats, we are pro-tax. We love taking money out of your pocket so we can clean up all the bum piss and shit. It's amazing. Don't you like it?
Motion carries 19 yeas, 5 nays. Next item on our agenda is proposal number 333, referred to Metropolitan Economic Development Committee. Chairman Lewis.
Proposal number 333 amends the revised code to make changes in Chapter 531 Animals and to Chapter 836 Kennel, Pet Shops, and Stable Registrations. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 12 to 0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 24 to 0. Next item on our agenda is proposal number 305, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice. Councilor Carlino.
Forgive me, Mr. President, did we skip 337? We're doing it now. And moved, that's the one, and I asked the note, forgive me. Proposal 305 amends section 283-26 of the revised code regarding the Criminal Justice Planning Council to make various changes. The proposal passed out of committee with a vote of 9-1. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Renee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just request to be added as a co-sponsor.
Very good. Thank you very much. Additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 23 yeas and 1 nay. Next item on our agenda is proposal number 350, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Councilor Carlino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 350 authorizes the Metropolitan Emergency Services Agency to enter into a lease for approximately 4,700 square feet of space at the Perry Township Government Center located at 4925 South Shelby Street. The proposal passed out of committee 11-0. I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 24-0.
We're almost there. We're almost there.
Next item on our agenda is proposal number 356, referred to Public Works Committee. Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. And again, I'll say it, that there's something wrong with these buttons. Proposal number 356 approves an amendment to the existing public street lighting contract with Indianapolis Power and Light Company doing business as AES Indiana in accordance with revised code sections 261-405. Councilor McCormick seconded by Councilor Oliver to send proposal 356 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. That motion carried by a vote of 9-0, and I so move.
Motion is properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 24-0. Next item on our agenda is proposal number 357, referred to Public Works Committee. Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 357 approves an interlocal agreement between the City of Indianapolis, Marion County, and Hendricks County for the construction and operation of improvements to Raceway Road due to the construction of County Bridge 39. Councilor Carlino moves, seconded by Councilor McCormick, to send proposals 357 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. That motion carried by a vote of 9-0, and I so move.
Motions are properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Carlino.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to publicly acknowledge our partners
Oh
to
my
the west
God, no
in
one
Hendricks
cares.
County. Since serving for the past 4 years, it's been wonderful to work with them. I've not had a headache working with our partners from on the other side of the county line, and so I really appreciate that and look forward to continuing to serve for the next few years. So thank you to our partners at Hendricks County.
Shut up.
Thank you. Additional comments from councilors?
I can't even find that bridge.
All right, seeing none, let us proceed to the board for our vote.
I think it's fake.
Motion carries 24-0. Next item on our agenda is proposal number 358, referred to Public Works Committee. Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. With consent, I'd like to take proposals 358 through 370 together. Thank you. Proposal number 358 approves of the installation of parking meters in parking meter zone 3 on portions of Senate Avenue and Capitol Avenue between 11th and 13th Street due to the development of the new IU Health Campus in District 11. Proposal number 359 authorizes residential parking permit at 652 East St. Clair Street in District 17. Proposal number 360 authorizes parking restriction modifications on the north side of Ohio Street between West Street and Capitol Avenue on the south side of Washington Street between Alabama and Delaware Streets in Districts 11 and 16. Proposal number 361 authorizes one-way northbound street designation along Delaware Street between Louisiana Street and Fall Creek Parkway South Drive in District 16. And proposal 370 authorizes the removal of residential parking permit on the south side of 11th Street from Brookside Avenue to Arsenal Avenue in District 17. Counselor
Oh
Booth
my
moved,
God.
seconded by Counselor McCormick, to send proposals 358 through 370 to the full council with a due pass recommendation, and that motion carried by a vote of 9-0, and I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Other comments from councillors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for a vote.
I know, it's all boring. Come on. What's going on here? Oh my God, government, as usual. Good.
Motion carries 23-0.
371.
Next item on our agenda is proposal number 371.
Jeez. Get your stuff together.
All right. Councillors, let us proceed to recast our vote.
On which ones?
Yes, for the previous 5 proposals.
Oh my God. What a clusterfuck.
Fortunately, it reads 6 items. There were 5 items.
This is just typical government stuff. You know, like, you literally just have to vote, and you can't even get that right.
Motion carries 23-0. Next item on the agenda is proposal number 371, referred to Public Works Committee, Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 371 establishes an interest in the purchase of specified land at Department of Public Works at 1231 East 91st Street in District 16.
Yeah, which is wrong still. It's on Kentucky.
But I think the address is wrong. Oh, was it correct? It's corrected on the proposal, right? Okay. No, I have it. Yeah, I have it. On District 16 for the construction and the maintenance of the White River Innovation District infrastructure, which real estate is owned by 402 Kentucky Avenue LLC in District 12. Councilor Booth moved, seconded by Councilor McCormick, to send proposal number 371 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. That motion carried by a vote of 9-0, and I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Other comments from councillors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for a vote.
Almost there. Almost there. We got 5 minutes left.
Motion carries 23-0. Next item on our agenda is proposal number 306, referred to Rules and Public Policy Committee. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 306, 2023, amends chapters 141, 151, 175, 192, 285, 293, and 431 of the revised code to change the British English Counselor.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
And CILLOR to the American English Counselor, COUNCILOR. Councilor Lewis moved, seconded by Councilor Brown, to move the proposal 306, 2023 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. Mr. President, I so move.
Second.
Motion is properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councillors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote.
What's he doing? Dancing?
Motion carries 24-0. Next item on our agenda is proposal number 362, referred to Rules and Public Policy Committee. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 362, 2023, establishes a study commission to, 1, review the city and county's current use of artificial intelligence, AI, and its associated technologies. 2, gather information from AI experts, industry leaders, and community members as to how AI can be used in the future to provide better services to the citizens of the consolidated city. 3, recommend to the mayor and elected county officials policies for trustworthy and transparent usage of AI as a part of the provision of services by departments and agencies. And 5, recommend to the City County Council the modification of any existing ordinances or the provision of new ordinances establishing trustworthy and transparent AI. Counselor Brown moves, seconded by Counselor Nay, to move proposal number 362, 2023 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. The motion carried by a vote of 10 to nothing. I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments from councilors? Councilor Boots?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to make sure that I'm recognized as a co-sponsor of this, as I requested at committee. I think with the importance of AI coming up, that it's critical that the city do its due diligence and do it right before it's too late. So I am a firm supporter of this and would also respectfully ask to be part of that commission. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Hart.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I'll be very brief in the sake of time, but just want to let the rest of the council know that I work very closely with the mayor's office and administration on moving forward with this. We've done adequate amount of planning, and we're ready to kick this off in July, and want to thank the support of all the councilors who are part of the committee meeting and their full support, and just look to ask everybody else for the support this evening as well. Thank you.
Very good. Additional comments? All right. Seeing none, this will be our last vote of this session.
Finally.
I'll wrap it up. Let us proceed to the board for our vote.
Come on.
Motion carries 24-0. There is no business under special service district councils, no business under new business. So next item on our agenda is announcements and adjournment. The docketed agenda for this meeting of council having been completed, the chair will now entertain motions for adjournment.
Mr. President.
Chair recognizes Councilor Mowry.
Mr. President, I have been asked to offer the following motion for adjournment by Councilor Lewis in memory of Amos Howard Jr., by Councilor Graves in memory of Vivian Hill, by Councilor Osley in memory of Emmanuel Davis, by Councilor Mascari in memory of David Page. Mr. President, I would like to move the adjournment of the Indianapolis City County Council meeting in recognition of and respect for the life and contributions of the persons I have here specifically named. I respectfully ask for the support of fellow councilors. I further request that the motion be made part of the permanent records of this body and that a letter bearing the council seal and the signature of the president be sent to the family of each person advising of this action.
Thank you, Councilor Mowry. Hearing no objections, the motion is received and requests are so ordered. Hearing no further motions, we're adjourned. Thank you, councilors.
Zach, I'll tell you what, buddy.
I'll tell you what, buddy. Oh my God, finally. All right, all right. Hey, you know, that was a rough one. It was pretty boring. I'm first time recording a like end of session city council meeting where new people will be sworn in a few days. But with that being said, there's some things we do need to cover real quick. All right, so one of the ordinances, one of the proposals was about giving money to TWG so they can build their Indy 11 lame-ass soccer park, condominiums, blah, blah, blah. Well, update to that is they did a, I don't know if they dug them up or if there was ground penetrating radar, but they did find remains on site, which we all knew they would because it used to be a cemetery. Well, now we don't know what's going to happen. This project might be held up for years. I mean, we don't know, though, or they'll grease the right palms where they're just going to build over it. We got ourselves a poltergeist problem here in Indy, folks. I don't know what we're going to do about it. Well, I know what I'm not going to do about it, but I do know that I will be covering it. Do not worry about that. But I think going forward into next year, a lot of us need to get on board, not just me and my 5 subscribers on YouTube. We need more transparency on the city council. We need to be able to see these contracts of who's getting the money, how are they getting the money, and then when we see these characters where they're moving money, what do these characters represent? I mean, is it office supplies? Is it salary? Is it health insurance? What is it exactly? We need to know, and it needs to be publicly available. With that being said, this whole AI board is going to get very interesting next year as well. I mean, we already see that the domestic response team, we see with the crash review team, there's no recordings of any of these meetings, so we don't know exactly what is going on. Do we expect that for the AI board? I don't know, but rest assured, I will be contacting people if there are no recordings of these meetings. I will be throwing a giant fit and calling these people out. With the so something very interesting. Larry Vaughn brought up an interesting point about this HUD stuff, and he's not wrong. If I could find it, it was part of the because if you try looking it up, what you're gonna find is that it's part of the IHA in Indianapolis. And what he was talking about no, is that they're gonna get they're getting sued right now, and they're federally they're wanting the IHA to be reorganized. So Larry Vaughn isn't entirely wrong. I'll have to dig deeper into this whole thing, but Larry Vaughn's as much as as much as he is an outspoken guy, and he might be ruffling people's feathers. Oh, they don't like some people might not like his approach. I love his approach. I've seen him in person. I've seen him speak multiple times at when he was running for mayor this year, and he's a smart guy. He knows what's going on. I just wish there was a way to have the data that he has and then show it off, like kind of well, what I'm doing right now. Like I will show up data. I will put data up there of what I'm talking about to show that I'm right. So I think that'll be one of my goals next year is to try and contact Larry. I'm not sure if he'll like me too much, but I like him. Even if he doesn't like me, I still like him. I like his moxie. Um, the three, I think it was Prop 355. I'm going to be digging into this a little bit more too, but Larry Vaughn talked about this being part of the Green Plan. He's not wrong. Right now, over by me on the west side on Michigan Street, right before we start getting into downtown area, they made Michigan from a 2-lane into a 1-lane, and my very first thought is like, oh, I know what they're doing. They want to try and reduce collisions, pedestrian safety, what have you. But you're going to have more traffic jams. People already don't know how to drive. So you're going to be pissing people off even more with traffic jams. And if you don't have the lights set up properly, they're going to take 2 hours to get into downtown. But maybe that was the point all along. Who could say? There is something that I do want to talk about. There was something that was brought up a few days ago to the point where I got blocked by Cliff the Cuck. This guy ran for mayor, and then he dropped out last second so he can try and prop up Robin Shackelford, the communist. So I was on Mouthwash, I think 2 weeks ago, and people were getting all mad that I was on there, saying that I was doing this and I was doing that. Well, let's set the record straight right now. So people were talking about State Representative Victoria Wilburn, and they were saying that I had posted pictures of her kids on the internet, or I was stalking their kids, or I was taking picture of them at school, whatever, whatever. Well, let's set the whole thing straight right now. So back in last year, at around October, sometime in the fall of 2022, on my Twitter account, had gotten a message from somebody saying that Victoria Wilburn is a fraud. She kept pushing this public school agenda about getting more funding for public schools, but she sends her kids to $15,000 a year private schools, each kid. And my question was, all right, can you have any proof of this? And so they just showed me a picture of who it was, and I go, okay, good enough for me. So I start calling her out on this. Now, mind you, this is like October or November of 2022. So I just kept calling her out, and I was like, well, you send your kids to private school. Every time that she brought up about public schools need more funding, blah, 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 I was like, all right, well, you're a hypocrite. And I hate hypocrites. So kept pounding that drum. Every time that she posted, I was putting the response to it. And they were getting so upset that her husband was like, enough of this keyboard talk. Let's meet in person kind of deal. I was like, all right, player, why don't you calm down a little bit? It's like, am I wrong? Am I wrong? And never admitted to it. So fast forward to February of this year, February of 2023, I file my candidate paperwork, and then within a few days, I get a call from the Capitol Police of Indianapolis. And they're saying that Victoria Wilburn gave them a call and said that I was making all these threats against her, and I was posting medical information of her kids on Twitter or the internet. And I said, no, that's not possible because I've never done it. And they said, well, the only thing that we noticed was a tweet that you had made, and it shows that it's not there anymore. And I go, yeah, I was asked to delete all my tweets before I ran for office. And I honestly, to this day, I can't remember what it was, but it had nothing to do with her or her kids or whatever. I think it was just a screenshot of her saying we need to fund more public education. And then me saying is like, well, you're a hypocrite. You send your kids to $15,000 a year private schools. So I have to talk to this detective. And I just explained to him, it's like, no, you don't have anything to fear because I'm running for office. Why would I put myself in that corner? And then for months and months, people kept talking about how I was posting all this information on Victoria Wilburn. And I just kept denying it because it never happened. So fast forward to where I was on mouthwash, and it gets brought up again. Cliff the Cuck, he says that I was posting pictures of her children on Twitter. And John Schmitz, who runs the Mouthwash talk show, is like, well, where's the proof? Show the proof. Obviously, you have to have proof if you're going to make a claim. Never happened. He just kept talking shit. Same thing with Jesse Brown. Didn't have any proof at all. And so I go on my Twitter, on my Witty Review Twitter, and I just say lies. And then another thing that he said, I wrote on there, more lies. I get blocked by Cliff the Cuck, Lego Cliff the Cuck, because he has no proof on any of this stuff. So as far as I'm concerned, they're just a bunch of liars. Victoria Wilburn was trying to set this whole thing up where she tries to get me swatted. Never actually happened, but now she's laid the groundwork of saying that I'm making these threats against her, false accusations, as usual, that Democrats do. And right now, within the last few weeks, people have been getting swatted. Conservative influencers, federal congressmen and congresswomen, their families have been getting swatted. And right now, Democrats are getting set up for people that criticize them to get swatted. And that's what they do. Oh, I don't like what you say. I will send the police after you. This is their personal Gestapo right now, and you have these dipshit clowns on Twitter egging her on. Even to the fact where Destiny Wells, the person who's running for Attorney General, she thought I was John Schmitz. I have screenshots of it, of where one of my actual account that said Stephen Whitmer, and then she goes, oh, nice fake account, John. Same thing. These people are morons. Anybody that's a Democrat, you're a dipshit. And we need to stop playing the high road on any of this stuff. They are the party of killing babies. They're the party of not knowing what a woman is. They are the party of child genital mutilation. They don't care about children. They don't care about you. If they don't like you, they're going to send the police after you. They're going to Bolshevik you. They're going to rape you in your own house, steal your home, and give it to some illegal. We need to change the whole picture of everything. The GOP, the Republicans, the conservatives need to stop taking the high road. It's over. They don't care about us, and they don't have any rules. They have no moral compass. So as far as I'm concerned, it's like, you're all fucking clowns. Your opinion means nothing to me. And all you do is constantly lie. And if you are a Democrat right now, I don't like you. I'm never going to like you. Even people that have had good conversations with you, just to let you know I'm never going to like you. So, for 2024, you better be ready to get a whole lot of shit from me. Because I'm going to be covering all of you guys every single chance that I get. I'm going to be covering city council. I'll be covering state representatives. I already have a whole little file book ready for it. I'm going to be calling out in your hypocrisy, and you can block me all you want. I mean, right now, Nick Roberts blocks people. Allie Brown, who's on the city council, she blocks people. And you're not allowed to do it. The ACLU they already filed a lawsuit on that. People in office are not allowed to block people on social media. So get ready. 2024 is going to be awesome. And I'm going to be doing this for a very long time. At least until your Gestapo sends their shitbag force after me. But even then, I'm still going to be doing it. You can cry about it like a little bitches that you are, because I don't care. And this stuff that we see right now with city council, the person that runs that Twitter account, I'm after you too. I will be trolling the shit out of you every chance that I get. So looking forward to 2024, looking forward to the Annans that are on my side and everybody that's just going to be calling you out on your bullshit. So if I don't make another video, have a happy new year. I look forward to seeing all of you on what everything's going to become of Indianapolis and Indiana. But you guys need to be ready too. Democrats want to kill you. They want to swat you. They want to steal everything that you have. They want to tax you more. And all of you Democrat voters, you need to pull your head out of your ass, because the Democrat elected, they don't give a shit about you. Enjoy the handouts while you can, because eventually they're going to be going to illegals, to non-tax paying illegals. That's all coming next year. And I would be ready if I were you, because I sure am. So have a happy new year. I'll see you next year.